full crowd, amazing. It's going to be a great show.
Awesome.
Quick thing. There's a lady in red sitting right at the front. That's not a problem, right?
No, why would it be a problem?
Okay, just because of the incident.
What incident?
The car that hit your dog was red. They don't want to throw you.
What? My dog got hit by a car? Why didn't you tell me?
Sorry, that's actually wrong.
It's not my dog.
Dogs.
Both my dogs
Yeah.
got hit by a car.
Yeah. They didn't want to throw you before the show, so nobody told you. Sorry.
But you're telling me now.
Yeah, but I had to warn you about the lady in red. Hey, listen, don't worry about it, okay? I'll keep you updated. Enjoy the show.
Okay.
It's gonna be a great show.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Cape Town. I really made an effort with these shows. Thank you for noticing. And so, yeah, I'm wearing a suit. I never do shows in suits, but now I'm wearing a suit for the show. I dyed my hair. By the way, I'm done doing stuff to my hair now. Ladies, it's easy for you. You don't understand because you can change it often. You know, you can cut and you can color your hair. You just cut a fringe and people are like, "Fuck, Marianne, you're a new person. Wow." But men, we just have the same look all the time, and then we get bored. Okay, so in March, before I went on a big tour, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get highlights. Because the last time I got highlights, I was 13. I got highlights for Margate. And I realized the hairdresser is too stressful now. You know, like when I was growing up in Kempton Park, there was one guy who cut our hair, Uncle Strydom. He would cut our hair. And it was very straightforward. He would just do the short back and sides. And he couldn't do highlights. But he would do highlights. Because he wanted to make the money. So you'd go to him and you'd be like, "Uncle Strydom, can you do highlights?" Then he's like, "Yeah, sure." Then he goes in the back, mixes some fucking Aquafresh and Omo. Then an ice cream container. Then he puts it on your hair, and then you look amazing on the beach for the first 2 days, and then it went like this yellow. Nah? But you know that pea yellow. But even deeper than that, you know when you have a barocca in the morning, and then you go pee at 11, and then you're like, "Fuck, that's yellow." That's not even on the yellow chart at the paint shop. You know, even yellow looks at that yellow and goes, "Shit, that's yellow, eh?" And you know, back then, if you wanted to look like a celebrity, you would have to tear their picture out of a magazine and go show it to the hairdresser, and they're like, "Okay, cool, we'll copy this picture of David Hasselhoff." The only celebrity I wanted to look like was when I was growing up. There was 2 years where I was 9, 10 years old where I played some tennis, and the biggest tennis player at the time, this is early 2000s, Andre Agassi. And he was cool. They called him the bad boy of tennis, and as you know, famously, he had a shaved head. So I went to my dad and I said, "Andre Agassi is my hero, can you shave my hair?" And my dad said, "Yeah, no problem." And he shaved it with clippers in the garage, and then after that with a razor, proper skinhead. But when we make a big change like that, it's always that expectation versus reality. Because I looked in the mirror, I was like, "Yes, I look exactly like Andre Agassi." Went to school on Monday, no one thought I looked like Andre Agassi. Everyone just thought I was sick. I was like, why are there balloons in every class? And Why do they say farewell? I thought it was weird that everyone was being so nice to me. You know, like the tuck shop lady, she kept giving me sweets for free. Eventually I was like, please, can my mom just come and pay for this? She would burst out in tears. It's fine, it won't be long. What does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, I called the show Crowd Pleaser. I wanted to call the show Comedian because I thought that's a cool title, short and sweet, comedian. But unfortunately, the term comedian doesn't mean that much anymore because when I started comedy, I don't know, 2011, was that 13 years ago, started here in Cape Town at the Purple Turtle on Long Street. When I started comedy, you could only call yourself a comedian if you were doing stand-up comedy, okay? If you were doing this on a stage. But now, with social media, and don't get me wrong, I use social media to my advantage. I love it. But now a lot of people are very funny on social media, but then they call themselves a comedian without ever having done a live stand-up comedy gig. And I thought, you know, the term the term comedian rather, like doesn't mean that much anymore. Then I thought, crowd pleaser, you know, that's cool, because that has longevity. You know, and that is, honestly, that is my hope and my dream for my career. I want to be Celine Dion. I don't want to be fucking Kelly Clarkson, okay? She's great, don't get me wrong, but she gave us 2 good songs, Since You've Been Gone, Behind These Hazel Eyes, and then she fucked off for like 20 years. Now, she's got a talk show, which is a downgrade. You were singing, that's amazing. Now, you're talking, you're just talking. And the new generation, they know Kelly Clarkson from the talk show. She's not even famous for the thing that made her famous in the first place. That would be like me doing this, and then disappearing for 20 years, and then in 20 years, one of you go, whatever happened to Schalk Bezuidenhout? He's singing now, shame. Yeah. At the Ocean Basket in Salt River. Yeah. He sings there on a Friday. Very nice. Actually, very nice. So I called the show Crowd Pleaser. When I started comedy, you know, it was so cool for me to call myself a comedian. Whenever I was somewhere socially, and you know, people started going around, so what do you do? I would always wait for it to come to me, because it was the coolest feeling for me to go, I'm a comedian. You know, it was so cool. But then often it would backfire with older men, because you know, they would always go, young man, what do you do? And you go, no, I'm a comedian. And they go, wow, that must be nice to talk shit for a living, eh? And you don't want to start a conflict, so you just go like, yeah, that's what I do. And then they just carry on and they go, and people pay. People pay to hear you talk shit. And you're like, yeah, no, they pay, yeah. And it used to frustrate me so much because you work so fucking hard on these shows, and then someone comes and just downgrades it to the simplest level of just talking shit. And then I always think, that is what this is to a lot of people. They think you just talk shit. And it's frustrating because I don't do that to people. Like, what do you do for a living, sir? Photographer. Yeah, I also have a phone. Easy. What do you do, sir? Accountant. Yeah, I can also have a balance. That was a hard one. You, what do you do?
Data analyst.
Hey?
Data analyst.
Data analyst. Yeah, I can also be fucking boring. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not attacking you, but anyway, am I getting my point across? It's not nice, eh? It's not a nice feeling. Because, you know, if I'm somewhere and I meet a doctor, you know, I always make them feel good about themselves because I've got a good friend who's a doctor. I know what a long journey it is to get to that place. You have to study for years and years and years. So it's like a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work. So if I meet a doctor, I go, wow, you're a doctor. That's amazing. You worked so hard to get there. Well done. And I make them feel good about themselves, even though some of them, all they do is just take things out of people's assholes. That's all some of them do. Okay, maybe not so much in South Africa, and that's where you have to see the silver lining. Nah? Because, yes, we're a country with a lot of problems and a lot of crime, but because of those problems and that crime, we have the best country to be a doctor in. Because you see action. I don't think you guys understand. People come from all over the world, other doctors come from all over the world to get a month's practical experience in South Africa. Because here in 1 month, you get a lifetime more experience than for Norway, where there's one stabbing once every 10 years. Here, 10 a night, baby. Sometimes as a doctor in South Africa, you are stitching up a stab wound while the patient is stabbing you at the same time. Then behind you, there's another doctor stitching up your stab wound. Before you know it, there's a human centipede of doctors just fucking stitching each other. And this friend of mine, he said, honestly, Schalk, it is the best place to be a doctor because you get thrown in the deep end also because our hospitals are understaffed, you know, so people just get thrown into the... Please open that packet louder if you can. Just possible. I'm going to be watching this in a few months. What's that? My TV's broken. What's that sound? No, it's because you're eating fucking lice. No, I want you to eat it, really. I don't want to ruin your show experience, but just, if I can, where is it, the packet? Where is it? Is it that person? Listen, wait, there. Just empty it into your mouth, and keep it here, and then just release it down the gullet as you feel the need. Because what happened now, I could hear it. You were trying to go slow. That is the big problem. Because then it's like... Because I've been in your shoes. I've been at a show, you're at the Baxter, and then you're eating, and then it was making so much noise, I got halfway, and then I just watched the rest of the show like that. So just commit, get the layout. So sorry. People ask me, are you scared of hecklers as a stand-up comedian? I'm like, no, even worse. Chips. Because you don't have a comeback for Kiwi. There's nothing you can do. So, okay, this friend of mine, he says, Schalk, you know, this is the best place to be a doctor because he said his first night working in a hospital. Now, keep in mind, the previous day, he was a student, right? His first night working in the hospital, he thought they're going to start him off easy, like, hey, can you just do that drip, or can you put a plaster? He says, night one, a guy walks in with a fucking panga in his head. And he looks at the doctor on duty, and the guy's like, I'm busy, you deal with that. He's like, shit! Second night, he says he's there busy with something, and he hears a voice behind him go, doctor, please help me. And he turns around, and the guy is just holding his own penis. He's like, what happened? The guy's like, I got into an argument with the Sangoma. Just get it on. Shit! And then he moved to the UK. Then I asked him, so how is it in the UK? Do you get action there like you did in South Africa? He said, Schalk, I'm bored. Because the hospital he works in there, he says it's in a white middle class area. And he says, yes, the white middle class, they're already a privileged group, at least the white middle class in South Africa. Yes, you are more of a privileged group, but you're still living in South Africa. You still have African problems. But there, they're living already in a first world country that looks after them very well. And they're a privileged group. And he said, Schalk, they don't have real problems like we have over here. So they sit at home and they get bored. And then they start seeing what they can fit up there. It's like, that's what you start doing when you don't have problems. And then it gets stuck, and then I have to come to him to try and get it out. And he says, what's interesting is no one owns it. No one just walks in and says, doctor, I had a few brandies and I'm lonely. And things happened. Okay, I'm sorry. No one ever, he says they all walk in with some bullshit story like, oh yeah, doctor, you know, I got out of the shower and I sat down on the couch and I didn't see the remote and... He says no one ever comes in and goes, oi, doctor! Okay, pause. My accents are shit, okay? I know that. I can hear it too. But problem is, I screwed myself with a show by calling it Crowd Pleaser, because then when I was putting it together, I was like, okay, what are crowd pleasers for audiences? Then I thought, accents, okay? People at comedy shows love accents. If you think, when Trevor and I first became famous, people were like, wow, we can do any accent. So then I thought, I have to do accents in the show, okay? I have to challenge myself. But the fun thing about my accents is that sometimes you won't even know what accent I'm doing. It's like a fun guessing game, okay? But I'll try and help you along the way. So he says, no one ever, I don't know why I think that a run-up will help me do the accent better. Because every time I'm about to do the accent, I take 3 steps back. Why am I doing that? Okay. I'm just gonna stand still and do the accent. He says, but it helps actually to walk into it. He says, okay, no one ever comes in. And he goes, oi, doctor! Are we feeling warm? Okay, for real. He says, no one ever comes in and goes, oi, doctor! Okay, that was really bad. This one is the right one, okay. No one ever walks in and goes, oi, doctor! I was out with me mates, the Peaky Blinders. And we went full... Oh, shit. You see, now I've lost it because I paused too long. Okay, wait. I'm just going to get it back quickly. Glory, glory, Man United! All right, shut up. I got back. Shut up. All right. Went out with me mates for Peaky Blinders. Went out for a few pints. Then I went home, turned on the telly to watch some telly. On my Apple TV, I looked down on my little Apple TV remote, that little silver thing, and I thought, that could fit up me pooper. That's that one. Thank you. He says, no one ever walks in and goes, oi, doctor! I was playing the bagpipes and I slipped and I fell. That's that one. Okay, this is my best one. Okay. This is the best one. He says, no one ever walks in and goes, oi, doctor, I was looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Told you it was my best one. This friend of mine, he says, one night, it's a quiet night at the hospital, and woman comes in and she says, doctor, just have a look for me. And he says, yeah, no, of course. And she says, no, there's just something uncomfortable in my vagina. And he says, as a doctor, you can't laugh, eh? You can't be like, yes. You have to be like straight face. And he says, okay, well, let's take an X-ray, and, shows her the X-ray, and he says, no, there's definitely something in there, the size of a golf ball. And he says, have a seat, and he's got like a long tweezer. Gets it out. And he says, now, as a doctor, you have to show the patient, okay, well, this is what was causing the uncomfortable feeling. And at this point, I'm like, what was it? And he said, it was the head of Harry Styles. So it was a Harry Styles figurine, like a doll. Not like a Barbie, but Harry Styles. And then the head came off. Well, stayed behind. And he says, once again, straight face, he has to look at this woman and say, so, yeah, Harry was the culprit. Was Harry all along? And he says this woman looks him dead in the eye and she goes, I have no clue how that got there. That's so strange. I've no idea how that even happened. And I admire the dedication of this woman. She stuck to her story. She's just like, I'm just going to deny everything, whatever the doctor says. I'm just going to deny it. Because remember, she was probably sitting there in the waiting room for like a good 10 minutes, just thinking to herself, you know what you did, Susan? You were 3 Chardonnays deep. And you looked up on the shelf. There was Harry, looking at you with those watermelon sugar eyes. And you looked back at him and you thought, Harry, you are going one direction. And by the way, I'm not telling this story to shame this woman. I sincerely hope there's other women here tonight that can hear this story and think to yourself, wow, there's more of us out there. I'm not alone. So I hope it can be a comforting story for some of you. So I called the show Crowd Pleaser, and I hope I'm not shooting myself in the foot by saying this, and I don't want to downgrade the art of stand-up comedy by saying this, and maybe some comedians would be upset with me for saying this, but I've realized stand-up comedy is actually very easy. The difficult part is to do good stand-up comedy or to be a crowd pleaser. But technically, if you tell a joke in front of an audience, by definition, you've done stand-up comedy. So I want to show you guys tonight how easy it actually is. I want to ask for a volunteer that's going to come on stage and tell a joke. Okay, it doesn't have to be an original joke, it can be like a schoolyard joke. The only criteria is that I don't want it to be racist or homophobic, and I know half the guys just went, yeah, no. I had a good one, but you're gonna limit me that much. And let's keep it English, just so we can tell it anywhere. I see a girl there at the back that kept saying, you've got a joke to the right back row. Do you have one? The show is largely dependent on someone coming to tell a joke, so I'm not even joking. I will stand here until you going, yeah, with that joke? You? Yes, come, thank you, hallelujah. Give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'm going to take a seat. You stand right there. What is your name?
My name is Danya.
Danya. And what do you do for a living? Is it that bad? Don't worry, he's a daughter or whatever.
I run one-day retreats.
One-day retreats. What do you do at those retreats? Is it yoga?
I teach manifestation workshops.
Wow. Okay. Wow, why were you so embarrassed? This is fucking Cape Town. Everyone's manifesting something right now. Okay, when you're ready, Danya, tell your joke.
This is the first joke that I ever learned.
Okay, great.
There was a girl and she was sitting in class and I was in grade 1. And she said, "Ma'am, can I please go to the bathroom?"
Yeah,
And the teacher said, "Only if you do the ABCD."
yeah.
And she said, "Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and..."
See?
Now I know my ABC, next time won't you sing with me? And the teacher said, "What happened to the P?" And she said, "I'm sorry, miss, it's running down my leg."
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Danielle, that was amazing. Just give the mic to you. Well done. I don't know, just feel that is inappropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, I just came off the biggest tour I've ever done. I was away overseas. I was in Australia, New Zealand for 2.5 months, and it was really tough because obviously you miss things back home. I'm not even talking about personal things like birthdays or anniversaries or anything like that. But, you know, things happen back home in our news, and at the end of the day, this is my home. And then I read that in the news, and then I go, damn it, I wanted to be there. When this happened, I wanted to be with my people. Like, for example, you know, in February, Oscar Pistorius came out of prison. Felt there was some confusion in the room. What is he gay now? No, but that would have been a twist in the story, eh? Oscar came out of prison. No, he's gay. He's gay now. Wow, that explains why he was so angry. Okay, so he came out. I realized that the young generation don't know who he is. People from all over the world knows who he is because I think I read somewhere the other day that it was the biggest televised criminal trial after the O.J. Simpson trial, which is crazy. But the younger generation, they know it's a bit before their time. So just to recap, Oscar Pistorius, famous Paralympian athlete in South Africa, and shot his girlfriend through the bathroom door. He says he thought there was an intruder behind the door, and he went to prison for 10 years. And now he's out. And, you know, obviously it was a very tragic thing that happened, but what was also tragic is this black mark that it left on the history and the reputation of South Africa. You know, especially in a place like America, when they hear South Africa, their first connection is not Trevor Noah or Elon Musk, it's Oscar Pistorius, because it combines their two favorite things, sports and guns. They love it. And because they watched the trial and followed it so closely, I feel they have a misconception of how it is here in South Africa because they think we just walk around shooting each other, which, okay, also is not untrue, but, you know, it's not as willy-nilly as that. So I always try and correct them because I will always defend South Africa. And I say to them, listen, what happened with Oscar Pistorius, it was an isolated incident because when you are a South African celebrity and you reach that world-famous level that he reached, then, yes, you develop a God complex and you think to yourself, I can get away with anything. Even if I don't get away with it, I am loved and adored so much people will forgive me. But he was wrong. He wasn't on like a David Beckham level. If you watch the Netflix documentary Beckham, you realize he's the most loved sportsman of all time. All I'm trying to say is, if he shot Victoria, people will be like, she was a bit annoying. And she was not the strongest Spice Girl, if we are honest. I'm sorry, but she did not have the best voice. And this might be controversial to say, but I feel a little bit sorry for Oscar because, yes, he's now technically a free man, but it's not like he can just go anywhere into public. And it's not because South Africans are going to boo him. From what I see on social media, most people feel, you know what, he served his time, fair and square, let him live his life. But because we love jokes, and we have to. It's what gets us to the day. Especially South African men, we are the worst. Every woman here tonight that's married to a South African man, I apologize on behalf of us. Because we love humor so much, we always make jokes at the most inappropriate times. Because that's how we are wired. We would always rather regret making the joke than not making the joke. The last thing we want is to get into bed at night and go, I should have fucking made the joke. I should have said that. Would have been brilliant. That's why I'm saying Oscar can't walk into a public toilet in South Africa because it will be a men's toilet and a South African man will see him walk in. And we do have a conscience, of course. We're not monsters. There will be the part of your brain that goes, leave him alone. He just got out. Just let it be. But then there will be the more dominant part of your brain that goes, but this is the lotto of jokes. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And before you know it, you're reversing into a cubicle. Oscar, I'm just taking a shit. Oscar, I'm just taking a shit. Listen, don't clap. We're not proud of it. I've done the show so many times and I still don't know if that's fine, but... The problem is I feel so out of touch with society at the moment, and I'm not one of those comedians who blame woke culture and say, no, it's because everyone's too sensitive. It's my own fault because I don't know what is relevant. I don't know what young people are talking about because I spend all of my time with old people. Because I picked up a hobby a few years ago where I started playing lawn bowls. Okay, I started playing bowls, and this is me bragging now, by the way. I am the youngest member of the bowls club at the Allen Park Retirement Village in Kempton Park, where I'm from. Youngest member at the age of 32. Second youngest member is 66. And people never believe that story. They always think I'm making it up for the show because they go, Schalk, there are bowls clubs that are not in a retirement village, so why would you play there? And I always say to them, it's not as random as you think, because my parents retired a few years ago. They started playing. I went to go play one day just for fun, and then to my surprise, I fell in love with the sport, I fell in love with the people, and now these old people, they've become my friends. And of course, I still have my friends my age, and we party on a Friday night, and then Saturday morning, I'm playing bowls with my old friends. It's actually very sweet, you know? But you have to concentrate because different rules apply in different social settings. Like on a Friday night with my friends my age, yes, in that context, it's funny if someone falls. Yeah, at the bowls club, it's actually quite fucking serious if someone falls. You don't laugh. You don't take a video. It's just not. It's not appropriate. But obviously, there is a big generational gap, you know. And my generation, we grew up way more integrated in South Africa. Their generation, they grew up during apartheid. Not their fault. Well, technically it was literally their fault. Because, you know, they did it. But they put people into categories. They categorize people into boxes because that's how they make sense of the world, which is fine. There's no judgment, but that's where we clash sometimes. Like, my phone got stolen the other day, so I got up at the morning meeting before we start playing, and I said, guys, my phone got stolen. That's why I'm not replying on the WhatsApp group. Old people get very upset if you don't reply on the WhatsApp group. So I said, I'll get a new phone, start replying again, and then tea time, first old lady comes to me, and she says to me, I heard your phone got stolen. I said, yeah, no, it's terrible. And she said, was it? I was like, what, theft? Yeah. No, it was theft, yeah. I'm 100% sure it was theft. She said, no, man. I was like, what, are you cold? Must I get you a blanket? She's like, no. Then I was like, ma'am, are you having a stroke? Because I have to call someone if you are. She's like, no. Then I felt sorry for her because I thought, wow, these old people go downhill overnight, eh? Yesterday she could speak, but today it's tragic. And she's like, no. Eventually, yes, of course, I caught on. I said, ma'am, if you want to say it, just say it. Are you asking if it was a black guy? And she went, shh. And I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, it has nothing to do with the story. It's not going to bring my phone back. It's irrelevant information. Why do you even need to know? And then I just sent her away. And then they just kept coming, this army of old ladies. And eventually I was like, actually, you know what? It was a white guy, actually. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe it's not so random that I ended up at this bowls club, because I believe everything happens for a reason. And I thought, the same way they teach me these amazing life lessons, maybe I've been put here to help them keep up with the world, you know, maybe like be a bit more liberal. And I said to her, what do you have to say for yourself now that I told you it's a white guy that stole my phone? And she said, well, you don't know what's happening in his life, man. That he's resorting to a life of crime. We shouldn't judge. And then my mom came up to me. Then I was annoyed because I pride myself on being liberal and open-minded, and I credit all of that to my mother because she raised me that way. But now, as she gets older, she's becoming more conservative. So then she was also coming to me going, well, I'm like, Then I decided, you know what, I'm going to say a race that to her is so obscure, she's not even going to know how to be racist about it. Because she asked me, was I'm like, I was like, no, Malaysian women. She went, wow, the women. Malaysia. That's there, but no, fuck, where's Malaysia? Spring roll. No, what's Malaysia? Malaysia. Okay, well, I'm sorry about your phone, I'm sorry about your phone. And you know, sometimes I think I shouldn't be so quick to judge these old people because yes, I don't see myself as old just yet, but I certainly don't see myself as young anymore. I'm now at that age, all my friends are having kids, or they have kids already, and that used to be so exciting for me, but now everyone's so PC about babies, it's become boring. I always ask my friends who are pregnant, I always used to ask them like, hey, are you hoping for a boy or a girl or a certain hair color? And now they all say the same things. I just want 10 fingers and 10 toes. That's all I want, 10 fingers and 10 toes. And now that's made me doubt if I want kids one day, because I'm just like, 10 fingers and 10 toes? is that the limit? Because yes, of course, I want 10 fingers and 10 toes, but I also want more, like 2 eyes, can I ask for that? Or at least if it's gonna be one, can I hope for it to be in the middle at least, like a cyclops? I mean, just for the symmetry. Because the thing is now, I get it. People go, you can't ask, if you say, I want a beautiful baby, people say you can't ask for that. Because you should just want a healthy baby. You're being selfish if you want more than that. If this makes me a bad, selfish person, so be it. But I want a cute baby one day. I do. Because an ugly baby is awkward for everyone. Everyone except the baby. They're the only ones having a good time. Because it's awkward for the parents of an ugly baby, and they'll never say, I have an ugly baby, of course not. But you can see they know. Because, no, it's in the way they show you the baby. Because parents who know they have a cute baby, they're arrogant. They've got an ego about it. When they show you the baby, it looks like a scene from The Lion King. Ah, the baby! But like parents who know they have an ugly baby, they'll always show it to you like a tattoo that they're not proud of. They'll be like, yeah, baby. Or you know when it's in the pram with a blanket over, I always go up to it and I'm like, oh, can I just take a peek, can I just see the baby? Because I love babies. I'm like, can I just quickly see the baby? And I'll always be like, okay, yeah, sure. There he is, yeah. Oh, he's sleeping, sorry. Oh, you missed it. And then for you, the spectator of the ugly baby, it's awkward for you as well because you're never going to say it's an ugly baby. But you also don't want to say it's a beautiful baby because often there's other people with you and you know when the couple leave, they might go, yeah. It's not right to lie, eh? So I always just end up saying facts about the baby. I just go, oh, he's small, eh? Sure, he's looking at me. 10 fingers, eh? 10 fingers. Because I'm just like, if it has to be a choice between 10 fingers and 10 toes or cuteness, I'll sacrifice 3 toes if I have to. Because I'm sorry, 4 toes on one foot, 3 toes on the other foot, that's doable. You can work with that. That's not the end of the world. Also, aesthetically not so pleasing, but you can at least put a sock over a foot. You can't put a fucking bag over a head. That's just going to freak everyone out. And to any new parents in the crowd, I just have to say this. I take my hat off to you. I respect you guys so much because we are living in the most difficult era to raise a child. When I was growing up, for our parents, it was easy. Sometimes you would just get on your bicycle and leave for 3 days. And then you come back and then your mom's just like, how was it? In those 3 days, you got kidnapped, escaped again, went to rehab. You lived a life. You come home, your mom's just like, was it fun? Now, there's so much to navigate. I mean, I've got a friend who lives on the Gold Coast in Australia, and then on my tour, I did a show there, and then I had to go to Brisbane. And she said, I'll take you, because it's an hour and a half in the car, and we can catch up and everything. And I said, okay, great. And then in the car, we're chatting, and she says, Schalk, it's tough here in Australia, because as a mother, I've got way more to navigate here than in South Africa, because, you know, we're always a bit behind with these things. And I said, what's wrong? What's the matter? And she said, well, her daughter's 10 years old and she's in school, and there's other kids in the class that call themselves furries. And then I said, what is that? And then she said, these are children who identify as cats. Now, some people say it's more cosplay, they don't really identify. Look, from my side, there's no judgment. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think we can all agree it's new. It's a new thing to sort of fuck, you know, wrap your mind around. And I'll be honest, I feel sorry for the schools because my dad, before he retired, he was a teacher, and I know the schools are under so much pressure. You have to keep everyone happy. You put one foot wrong, you end up in the media. And a lot of schools, they've just now finished making the toilets unisex. And they're so proud of themselves. They're like, well done, guys, we're inclusive, we're making everyone feel welcome. And just before they can start high-fiving each other, Sir Jessica in grade 5's a cat now. Fuck! No, that's fine, that's fine. Let me just think how we can accommodate. Like, can we give her the sandpit, or? No, you're right, because then we'll have to move the long jump, because you can't have kids there. Oh, shit, guys, can we move the furries, please, seriously? And you know, a lot of schools, you can Google this if you don't believe me, especially like in America and Australia, a lot of schools, because they're just so desperate to get ahead of it, so they've made the connection, toilets, cats, so they've started putting litter boxes in the toilets for the furries to use, which I know sounds wild. I don't even think the furries are using it. Well, I hope not, because that would be terrifying. If you think of my friend's daughter, she's 10 years old in a new school, in a different country. That's already terrifying. Because, I mean, you get there and no one wants to talk to you. You've got this weird accent. And then it's first break and you're just eating your shit sandwiches. And you can feel the tears welling up and you think to yourself, I'm not going to break down in front of everyone because then I'm going to be even more of a freak. So I'm just going to go to the toilet quickly and just have a bit of a cry and pull myself together. And then as you walk in, there's another little girl squatted over a litter box. Full frontal pissing. I mean, that's deep-rooted trauma that we are talking about. And ladies and gentlemen, I've come to the conclusion, this is very hard for me to admit, by the way, but I've come to the conclusion that maybe I am just a bit prudish. I don't like saying conservative, because when a white man from South Africa says, I'm conservative, he doesn't end well. But I say prudish instead. And I never thought I would say this because, you know, back home, growing up, in my community, in my school, I was Mr. Drama. I was by far the most open-minded liberal person where I'm from. But since I've started touring more overseas, I realized in comparison to people from all over the world, I'm a bit more on the prudish side. And I think there's two reasons for that. It's the South African in me. I think as a nation, we're a bit more prudish. But then also more specifically, because obviously I'm Afrikaans. And it's hard to explain to people from overseas because they think white South African is a category. And I always say to them, yes it is, but there is an important nuance to that category, because within the category of white South African, you get English-speaking white South Africans and you get Afrikaans people. And English-speaking South Africans in general are a bit more open-minded and probably going to hell. And then I'm joking. I'm joking. And then Afrikaans people, we're a bit more prudish and we go to heaven. And I know people normally don't expect this from comedians, but I am actually religious, I'm Christian, and on Good Friday, I was by myself in Australia, in Melbourne, and I thought, what am I going to do today? And I thought, let me go attend a Good Friday service, that'll be nice. And I went to this beautiful cathedral called the St. Paul's Cathedral. It's like the Anglican church, and I was sitting there, the service was great, and at the end I was reading the pamphlet that they give you as you walk in. And it was time for communion, And I was reading there and I thought, I don't know if the church has become woke or if I've been left behind, but in brackets under communion, it said, if you are gluten-free, just ask the bishop for a gluten-free wafer when you get to the front. And I thought, who is doing that? Because if you've ever been, right, to a church, especially the Anglican church, it's very serious. It's very ceremonial, okay? You get up for communion, you wait in the aisle. Now, as you wait, remember the choir singing, ha, 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 ha. Candles are burning, everyone's in white robes. It's super serious. Then you get to the front, the bishop, they're very intense. They're like, your sins are forgiven. Who's going in that moment? Thank you, man, that wasn't my way. Can I have a gluten-free one? I'm just manifesting gluten-free. Receive the body. Thank you, but is there a gluten-free body? I know it's not in the New Testament. And I know, by the way, I know there's people here from different religions or not religious at all, and that's fine, that's great, it's fantastic. But I think one thing we can all agree on, no matter what religion you are, is that if you think of the Christian tradition and you think of the story that gets told on Good Friday, Jesus and what he sacrificed, it really makes you think, you can eat the gluten. Seriously. I mean, sort of the least you can do. And I finally found a good way, if you ever meet people from other countries and they don't understand the difference between English and Afrikaans people in South Africa, I found a good way to describe it to people. You can use it. So, English South Africans, basically, that's the big city. It's cool, it's open-minded, anything goes. Afrikaans people, we like a small town in the middle of nowhere, where there's an old man with a beard and a lamp walking around. I saw a lesbian once. That's us. That's Afrikaans people. And obviously we mix. That's the beautiful thing, we mix. My wife, she's English. Girlfriends I had before that, English. In fact, that's where I realized I'm a bit more on the prudish side, because one of my ex-girlfriends, she had a nipple ring. And first time I saw her naked, okay, was after a few dates, went back to her place. She starts getting undressed, and I was like, shit, it's happening. She takes off her bra, she reveals an orange. And, you know, I regret my reaction because obviously in that moment you're supposed to keep the tension. You're supposed to keep the heat of the moment. And you're supposed to do something like... Sorry, I don't know what the appropriate nipple ring reaction is, okay? But obviously, something like... Wow. Wow. But you know, I wasn't briefed, and it caught me off guard, So she revealed the nipple ring, and then my first natural reaction was, bit of a mood killer, if I'm honest. But where I really decided, you know what, I'm just going to embrace my prudishness, because I also thought maybe it's not so bad to just have a little bit of innocence left. You know, was actually in Australia when I was on tour there at the Sydney Comedy Festival. We did a big show, me and a bunch of Australian comedians, and we go out afterwards to celebrate. And look, the Australians, they're not like us. They live, okay? They don't hold back. They'll try everything at least once. And there's one guy at the bar, Aussie guy, starts telling a story, and he says, one time I was having a foursome in Austria. That's how the story starts. Now, other people start chipping in. Ooh, that reminds me of a foursome I was in. I'm sitting there. Wow, Austria. Sure, that's a bucket list, eh? That's a bucket list. Really want to do Austria one day. Because just in my mind, I'm like, what's that? How does that even start? Surely you have to send out RSVPs or something, like, that can't be a spontaneous thing, I'm sorry. Because I'm not that prudish. I've had a twosome, okay, thank you very much. Had a fair share of twosomes, actually. I've been in that situation where you walk into a club, you make eye contact with someone across the room, you don't even have to use words, your eyes do the talking, and before you know it, you're in a dark corner. But like, who are these people walking into social situations just connecting with 3 other people? How strong are your eyes that you are just walking into a room? How is this happening? Because once again, a twosome, you know, it's straightforward. 2 people wake up in a bed. There's a bit of awkward small talk. But like, look, I wouldn't know. I've not been in this situation. But I'm assuming, my logic tells me, 2 people wake up in a bed. The other 2, I guess, are standing. And then, how do you depart from that situation? You know, like, what is the protocol? Do you kind of just formally, thank you so much, that was lovely, thank you very much, ma'am. I think we're on a hugging basis after last night. Thank you so much. Sorry, can you just start the WhatsApp group so we can do this again? Thank you. And you know, I think it's very funny, because my friends, they think I live this crazy life. You know, like my friend Brandon, he's an accountant, I do this. We grew up together, but now because I'm a comedian and I tour, he thinks I live this wild, promiscuous life. Because I told him this story, and I said, Brandon, can you believe there are people in Australia having water in Austria? And he said, oh please, Schalk, you're a comedian, you're in showbiz. Surely you've had a threesome. I said, Brandon, no. Closest I've been. I'll share this with you, Cape Town. Is one night, me and my wife were getting frisky, and my dog jumped on the bed. That's the closest I have been. You can always see the pet owners like, that happens. That happens. And by the way, in that situation, I feel so sorry for the dog, because you have to see it from their perspective. Because 9 times out of 10, they jump on the bed, we welcome them on. We roll out the red carpet. Come boy, come cuddle boy. And then 1 times out of 10, for this reason, he can't explain or understand, he jumps on the bed and then suddenly, out of the blue, Ouders, fuck off, Ouders! Come away, Ouders! What did I do wrong? And with this show, you know, I had to really ask myself the tough questions, because I had to ask myself eventually, like, am I more prudish than the average person? And if I am, what could be the reason for that? Then I thought maybe it's because I grew up in the NG Kerk, which is, if you don't know, the Dutch Reformed Church. Okay, obviously, we've always been more on the conservative side. And I remember in Kempton Park, where I grew up, like right next to our church, the Dutch Reformed Church, was a church called the AGS, which is more charismatic. And I remember my dad told us from a young age, you don't speak to those people. And I was like, why? Aren't we the same religion? And he'd be like, yeah, but they wave. We don't wave. It's weird. And people think the Dutch Reformed Church, that we are this exclusive group and that we think we're the only ones going to heaven. Of course, we don't think we're the only ones going to heaven. But we do believe that there is a priority boarding for us, you know. Like, we're going to get there one day and walk past the charismatic people. Who's waving now? Cheers. And we went one time to a service at the AGS because my dad's sister's there, and she convinced us, and she said to my dad, just come for one service, you'll really enjoy it. And then we eventually go there and we sit down. First song, everyone gets up and starts waving a flag, and then my dad said, this isn't the fucking F1, and then we left immediately. And I didn't want to leave because I wanted to go in the jacuzzi. I was like, our church, we didn't have a jacuzzi. And then what happened was, so after Kempton Park, I came to Cape Town, okay, to study. And I was the only person from my school, from my friendship circle, that came to the University of Cape Town, that came to UCT. So get here, didn't know anyone. And then I thought, you know what, let me join a church, because that's always a nice way to just, you know, find a sense of community. And then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to limit myself only to Dutch Reform. So then I went church hopping, right? And I went across the whole spectrum, okay, from the most conservative Orthodox all the way through to very charismatic. And it's actually very special for me to do the show here at the Baxter Theatre, because the one church I went to was in the theatre right next door in the concert hall. On a Sunday, the Baxter rents out that theatre to a church called the His People Church. And I went to one of their services, and I loved it. I got so swept up by the music, because I love Sister Act, right? It's my favourite. Right. And every single lady in that choir, everyone was Whoopi Goldberg, right? And I got so swept up, and the pastor, he was so charming, and at the end he said, who's here for the first time? At that point, you know, I'm feeling it. I'm like, yes, hallelujah, me. And he says, come forward, friend. And I go forward, and then their deacons, well, I don't know, in the Dutch Reformed Church, it's very obvious who the deacons are, because they come with a sock afterwards. And you put your money in the sock. And that was always very awkward for me, because often we wouldn't have cash on us, or my dad would open his wallet and it's only 100 rands, then he's like, not a fork. Because that was the rule, 20 rand max. And And this is an elder of the church. You're supposed to treat him with respect, but now we there treating him like a beggar. And his people, I guess their version of deacons, they formed a tunnel. So these people standing like this, these people standing like this, And then we had to go through the tunnel, and then out the other side, and then that's your welcome, your birth into the church, right? As I start walking through the tunnel, I realize everyone forming the tunnel is speaking in tongues, which I thought was fantastic. But you have to understand how foreign that was for someone coming from the Dutch Reformed Church. In my church, no one spoke in tongues. If someone even just spoke English, in our church, it was quite risky, okay? If someone just went, "How are you?" "He's got a demon!" Shabalabala! So, I start going through. Everyone's speaking in tongues, they're also touching me. But at this point, I'm like, it's cool, it's a new experience, I'm opening my mind. And then I was almost out. The girl in front of me, she was my age, we were like 19, 20 years old at the time. She drops down, right? And I'd only seen this in the movies. Her eyes went back in her head and she's convulsing. And my first instinct, because I have first aid training, I was like, roll her on the side, she's going to swallow her tongue. And I thought maybe I should leave it, but also, because I was like, if she is having an epileptic fit, we are really doing nothing to help here. I mean, in fact, we're encouraging it because everyone's going, yeah, well done, shake it. And so I'm now there because you can't go around. The tunnel, it's tight in there. So I have to wait for her. And then the people behind me started pushing. So now I'm there. Stop pushing. She's having an experience. How would you feel if you were having an experience and then we were rushing you? I don't know how long it takes. It's my first time as well. Well, then tell the guy in the back to stop pushing. And then eventually I just felt so uncomfortable. It was just a lot for a first time, because I'm like in a tunnel, around me, like, they pushing from the side. This is a hectic image. And then eventually, and I haven't been back because I've just been too embarrassed, but eventually I just went, I'm so sorry. Got an exam on Monday. Thank you. Sorry, I just my throat is so sore and I've just been drinking wine. John, do we have water back there? Sorry, just cut cameras, guys. I just want to check. Do we have water? Thank you. Thanks. Anyway, then I thought maybe it's because I was in Afrikaans school, because Afrikaans schools in general, a bit more on the conservative side. And I realized the other day, Afrikaans schools, we had a lot of people that came to talk to us on a regular basis, but now I look back and I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, what did Sasko Sam actually teach us? For those of you who don't know, remember Sasko Sam, the bread, Sasko, the bread brand. They had a mascot, Sasko Sam. And he used to come to your school like once a month. And then you go home, and then your mom's like, how was school? No, it was great. There was a dancing white bread. And then she would say, yes, but did he teach you anything like about hunger in Africa or anything like that? And then you go, no, he danced to Waka Waka and then he fucked off. And every year, there was a guy, because Afrikaans schools, we were obsessed with the devil, right? So every year, a guy would come and warn you about the devil. The reason he had to come back every year is because he believed that the devil was in the music we were listening to, and every year there's new music. So he had to come and update you on the new devil music. So he would come on stage, play an Elton John CD backwards, and then he would go, do you hear that? No, I don't. Listen closely. You're like, sorry, I'm not hearing the satanic message. I was like, listen very closely, eh? Sorry, I'm just not hearing the devil just yet. Then he's like, okay, fine, to the untrained ear, you might not hear it. But he's saying he's going to eat your baby. You play it forward, like backwards, I'm going to eat your baby. We were like, hectic, didn't know that about Elton. And then on the same day, I think these guys came as a 2-for-1 special. On the same day as the guy warning you about the devil, there would be another guy just showing you a variety of reptiles. Once again, would not teach you about the reptiles, he would just show you the reptiles. So we'd go from Elton John backwards to 5 minutes later, check this fucking iguana! But my favorite day of the year was when the police came. Once a year, the police would come to the school. Look, it was a bit sad because it was like a reverse employee of the month. It was the shittest 2 policemen. Like the 2 guys who made the least arrests. We were their punishment. Like whoever would say, you shit, go talk to the kids. And then they would have to come to the school. And what I appreciated about them though, is they went straight to the action. They didn't waste our time with boring speeches. They would walk into the school hall and say, everyone to the rugby field. And they were like, yay. We get down there. The one guy had an Alsatian. You knew the other guy was in trouble because he was wrapped in a mattress. But very DIY, like duct tape and shit. Now this guy, he's getting the Alsatian worked up. You know, he's slapping him through the face. Puts headphones on him and plays Elton John backwards. Eventually this Alsatian is like, fucking demonic. Then he gives the other guy a head start as if he stands a chance. He'll go, Sheldon, run! Then releases the Alsatian, it's there in 2 seconds, grabs him by the arm, this guy's running around screaming in agony, help, he's through the mattress, ow. We sitting there, 8 years old, bite him. And then they drop a smoke bomb, Sasko Sam does the worm, and then they fucked off. Ladies and gentlemen, just before I end, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming to the show. I really appreciate it. The shows I do overseas are mostly part of comedy festivals, and then at the end, there's always, you know, all these awards and nominations. I always go watch the shows of the comedians who win these amazing awards because I always want to see what are they doing, you know, and learn from that. And I realized a lot of them end the show on a traumatic story, which is very powerful for you, the audience, because then you leave going, wow, that was an emotional roller coaster. we laughed and then we cried. And the comedian, they were so brave and they made themselves vulnerable and they shared this deep personal thing about themselves, and it was very special. And I really wanted to give my audience that experience. And I guess I'm very blessed that I don't really have trauma. But I've dug deep, and there is something that I want to share with you guys tonight. And it's really not an easy thing to talk about, but I'm just going to come out and say it. I was circumcised when I was 13. Sorry guys. John, I know you trying to help because we're filming and stuff, so you want to make it better, but I don't want the music. Sorry. So I was circumcised when I was 13, and the moms in the audience, you'll understand. Because you know, as a little boy, when you are growing up and you are your mom will teach you from a young age that every time you wash, you need to and you need to wash there. You need to get in there, because if you don't, it's gonna fall off. And I was very scared of it falling off. So I was always very disciplined. And then one day I was 13, I was in the shower. Also because you know, when you're a little boy and you reach 13, you upgrade to the shower. Because you go, I don't bath anymore. That's for babies. I shower now. I'm 13. And you start using your dad's shower gel. It always had a hectic name. Rock Salt Ice. And, you know, it was protocol at that point. Done it a million times. I washed, and when I was done, he didn't want to go back. It was stuck. He didn't want to. Did you see, you guys? Yeah. These people. Are we all on the same page? Sorry, I'm explaining it more to the men actually than the women, believe it or not. Because I can always see the women in the audience going, Schalk, we know what you mean. Carry on. But there's always a confused man or two. And I get it, because as a straight man, mostly you only see your own, your whole life. And I don't know if it's because I travel a lot, but I see a lot at the airport. Because there's no divisions between the urinals. We're all just standing next to each other. And it's not like you're actively looking, but you're going to see a few. And if you are me, I'm not even embarrassed to say this, when I'm done, it's not a big show. You know, it's not a whole song and dance. It's 2 shakes and I put it back. But then there's always that one fucking guy who... And then you have to look. You have to. Because it's also just polite to ask, are you okay? Do I have to call National Geographic? Because David Attenborough needs to know about that. So the reason I'm explaining is because I've seen men at the airport who are but then the him and the money are not in proportion. So then, when they're done, like, for him, that's closed, but you can still... You know what I mean? Because mine used to completely... Like it was dark. It was dark in there. But then some men, that's his clothes, but you can still see the face. Hello. So then, I didn't know what to do, because I'm an only child, so I didn't have siblings to go to. I couldn't go to my mom, because even if you go to your mom, what do you say? Mom, you take this side, I take this side. So my 13-year-old logic at that point said to me, Schalk, just go to bed. It will be fine in the morning. The body's an amazing thing. It will heal itself. It did not heal itself. The next morning, it was blue. No, it was blue. And not only was it blue, but it was swollen, and because it was swollen, it was very painful, so I couldn't walk. And basically my welly, and I know that's a gross word for people. I'm sorry, it's a gross word for me as well. And I know the new age parenting says, no, with kids today, you mustn't use words like we had, like willy or guava. You have to use the proper terms, penis and vagina, which makes me feel very uncomfortable because when you are 13, you don't have a penis. When you are 13, you have a willy. I know it's different now. 30-year-olds these days are like, my dick! And you're like, thank you very much, Timothy. That's very aggressive. But so then I had to go to my mother. So I went to her and I said, take me to the doctor. And she said, for what? And I said, just take me to the doctor. And she thought I was trying to bunk school. So she said, I'm not just going to randomly take you to the doctor. You have to tell me what's wrong. Why can't you just tell me what's wrong? And then I just flashed it like that, literally for half a second. Like I was showing an ugly baby. Just like, wait! And the poor woman, to this day, I don't think she knows what she saw. She was just like, that shouldn't be blue. And then she took me, no questions asked, she took me to the doctor. She took me to our GP, which is also the worst person you could have taken me to. Because not all comedians want to become GPs one day, but all GPs want to become comedians. They're not in that profession for medicine or helping people. They just want to make jokes. Because imagine this, I'm standing there, 13 years old, pants down, to this day the most embarrassed and vulnerable I've ever been in my whole life. And this guy's there up close and personal, baby Smurf. I was like, okay. That's hilarious, thank you. Can we go through the options, please? And he said, okay, option number 1 is he can grab it, squeeze it as hard as he can, and pull it back over. And I said, okay, and option 2? He says, option 2 is we have to circumcise you, but he said, I can't do it, I'm not a surgeon, you have to go to the hospital. 30 minutes later, my mom and I were at the hospital. And at this point, I'm crying, I'm freaking out, because this is how sheltered I grew up, is that I genuinely thought at that age that if you get circumcised, you automatically become Jewish. Like, I thought that's the thing that makes you then just are Jewish. So I'm crying to my mom, I don't want to be Jewish. Because I'd be the only one in the family. And the doctor, he could see I was in a state. So to calm me down, he said, listen, I will try and get it back to the original, I promise. But I have to see what happens in the operation. I can't tell you now. And I said, okay, just do your best. And then the nurse came. She starts pushing me into the operating room because they have to put you under. It's a whole thing. And at this point, I'm so nervous. I'm just reciting the Torah. just to calm myself. And I wake up a few hours later. At this point, remember, I don't even know the result. I'm just like, please, please, please. And I look and it's done, circumcised, stitches. And I went to school the next day because my mom was hardcore like that. She said, you can walk barely, but you can walk. You're not going to sit at home and do nothing. And I was just so stressed because I was just in a normal Afrikaans government school. We'd never had a Jewish kid before. So I didn't know, is the tuck shop kosher already? Like, that fast? And also, now because of the stitches, you know, I'm walking like this. You know, I'm walking all funny, and it took 5 seconds for the other boys to go, why are you walking so weird? I was like, this is how Jewish people walk, okay? This is how we walk. Leave me alone, this is how we walk. But the worst part was not the pain or anything like that, but when I came out of the operating room, the doctor, he was very nice. He sends my mother out the room, and he says to me, listen, I didn't want to do this in front of your mother, because I know 13, you know, I've got boys myself. I know what a weird, awkward, tender age it is. So I'm just going to say this once. You've got stitches, so leave it alone for 6 weeks. And I said 4 weeks. He said, it's not a negotiation. You're going to rip out those stitches, so don't play with it for 6 weeks. And that's the worst thing you could have told me at that age. Fuck, are you okay? You're gonna shit yourself when I get to the punchline. Just breathe. I'm sorry if there's moms here with young boys. I know this is not what you want to hear right now. But when you are 13, your wanking handicap is a +6. Okay? You up there with the pros, baby. Ernie Els, Tiger Woods, Christian Bezuidenhout. You're with the big boys. And I'm not gonna lie, week 1 I ripped out 5 stitches. That was the more awkward trip, going back to the doctor the second time. Shalom! Guess who's back? Now, ladies and gentlemen, normally I would end on that story. But I did call the show Crowd Pleaser, so I do have grand finale planned for you guys. But for that to happen, I need my friend Danya back on stage, please. You can just stand here, Danya. Okay. Both getting ready. Oh, yeah, no, go for it. Yo, you're manifesting that glass. Huh? Okay. Danya, you're going to do just a strongman pose for me, like that. Now, this is very important. You're going to keep that pose, other arm as well. You're going to keep this pose. So all you're going to do is very easy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know earlier I said, I don't want to be Kelly Clarkson, but she did give us some great music. Play the track. We're not going to play the track because I can't afford Kelly Clarkson. Well, we are going to play it now. In the edit, this is how it works. We're going to use another song, so we don't have to pay for that song. I wanted to say the line for you, the live audience. I'm just going to say another one so that we can use another song that I'll get off a free website. Danya, stand like that. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. Why you suddenly... No, don't move. Otherwise, now in the show, you're going to be like this. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they say you always have to end your show on a high note. And it doesn't get higher than this. Play the track.
Okay, so to you watching at home, this is now the climax of the show where I use a song that I
can't afford because it would bankrupt me a million times over. And that is Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson, which is obviously a callback to earlier in the show when I say I don't want to be Kelly Clarkson, and now I actually use a Kelly Clarkson track. It's actually very powerful, but I didn't realize it would be that expensive. But you are more than welcome to play the song for yourself at home, to get the full effect. But unfortunately, in the special, and YouTube has rules, and you'll see now. Now, just imagine it. It's the big climax. Since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time. And I don't even know. Am I allowed to sing the song? Does that count as rights? Since you, now I can. And then you can see the audience, they're loving it. The girl on stage is dancing. And it's really, I wish you were there on the night, because just with the song, it's so good. It's really, honestly, so great. Look, everyone's loving it. And then you'll see now, crowd surf. Once again, with a song. It's so good. And our crowd surf on Kelly Clarkson, Since You've Been Gone. It's still going. Like great drums, guitar, everything. It's perfect. The song's perfect for this moment. It's really, really on the night. It was so good. But yeah, unfortunately, if anyone knows Kelly, let her know. She's charging too much. And then, and then almost done, and then pa. Ladies and gentlemen, that was not the grand finale. They say, if you want to be a true crowd pleaser, you always end the show on your best joke. So here we go. This little girl's in grade 1. She has to go pee. And teacher says, okay, you can go. A very fucked up teacher, Who says that to a 7-year-old? Yeah, you can go pee. Say your alphabet first. She goes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. No! L, M, N, O, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I know my alphabet. And then, obviously she wasn't thank me. And then the teacher said, where was the B? Because she didn't say it, This is just going to be in the special. I'm not going to do that whole thing again, okay? And the teacher said, where's the B? And then she said, it's running down my leg! Thank you very much. My name's Bob Bezuidenhout. How was it?
Great joke. Great.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks for always listening.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay.